Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time to hop on for this Monday morning team call. Um, this one, like I said, it's really catered towards, like I said, a lot of the newer agents, newer managers, people that are kind of getting things started, whether managing their own downlines or they're newer to our way of doing things. They would have access to the right resources to become a successful agent. And like I said, it's going to be a mundane call. I'm going to apologize now for it, but it's just a lot of things that I get a ton of questions on, and it'll just be a nice little tool, not only for yourselves to be able to reference to, or to be able to start directing your future agents towards getting this stuff all taken care of for you. So it's I think it's going to be very, very good, very informative. It shouldn't take too long to get on through this. Then we'll open up for questions near the end of it. But like I said, um, so the main thing we're looking at is, like I said, it's the big question is how do we get people started? What are the things that are necessary other than the basics of getting contracted, getting leads? So we're going to talk about a little bit of those things, kind of touching on each of them. But in reality, there's roughly about a 10, it's almost a 15-step process from A to Z once someone gets actually licensed. Um, which if you don't know the process of getting licensed, reach out and ask. But in a quick nutshell, IFG has negotiated with several different vendors, the most popular being Excel testing, to where we get a discount code to allow newer agents or people that want to get into the industry from the very start of it, a discount code to take their online course. Um, and what I usually do, the way the process typically works, it's if you find someone that's interested in joining or interested in starting in the whole insurance world, it's be able to get them on a phone call with me. Um, so you can hear how I kind of go about talking about things, the groundwork I lay from an expectation standpoint from the very start. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's something that does require a lot of work and effort. But if you do it the right way and leverage the previous successes of other people and be able to get that right formula, it can make that learning curve that much shorter for them to be successful on a faster basis. So with that being said, so the first one, like I said, it's always going to be the licensing step. So I said I like Excel testing, which I have a little email that I usually send on out to people with the link. But the discount code's Team IFG, and that takes care of, I want to say it's almost 75% of the actual cost. It goes from, I think the course is like $200 down to $50. So I mean, it's a really good incentive to help them get started. The course is great. You have a real good back office team. I've used them a couple times for people that got their accounts locked out. They might have missed the deadline by a day or two, and they've been really, really good about going back in there, opening up those accounts for us, and allowing people to finish out their tests without having to pay the extra $40. So it's super beneficial to be able to have those contacts, and one of the reasons why we like the Excel testing group for that. Um, so that'll be the first steps. I mean, there's not really much we can do until they are licensed. All we can do is just give them the tools to get it done, um, which I always tell people to start to finish is about a $150 process. It's usually about $50 for the actual course. Then the state test, it varies on the pricing per attempt. I think Ohio's like 42.50 or 42.25 to take the state test, and then from there, federal background check runs anywhere between 60 to $70. So it all just depends on the state. There are slight variations to it, but in reality, all said and done, if you can pass on your first shot, you're looking at about $150 investment, which is not bad to have a state insurance license that is yours. We don't control it. Um, it just allows them to have flexibility to work anywhere they actually please. Hopefully, it's with us, but it still gives them flexibility to go anywhere, and it's their own tangible license. So that's kind of the ultimate number one step. Then going into the others, it's going to be piggybacking off of what we've been talking about the previous week about the whole goal setting and completing your goals and having that field ready checklist done, which it's going to be a newer folder I'm going to add to the actual Dropbox to kind of organizing some of these key points. Like I said, a lot of it's already inside the playbook itself. So if you don't have a copy of it, reach out. especially if you're in the mortgage protection field. That's what his playbook's really designed to kind of talk about the ins and outs of the MP marketplace. But some of the same things apply. Like I said, we went over the goal setting piece, shared that last week. And then this week, like I said, kind of going over the new agent stuff. So a couple things I always point out on this. One, the weekly trackers. These actual printout sheets, you don't have the actual book or you want a book, reach out. We can get one of those sent to you or figure out how to get those ordered for you. If you have a team, you guys want them, I can get a link to where it's easier to print these out versus going to Staples. But I'm going to add these individual sheets to a separate Dropbox folder for us, as well as these sheets are already in there, some of the training modules per the carrier. So these are direct training modules from the carriers on their back office pages, which most of them, there should be just hot links where you can click them, similar to, click one, yeah, there we go. Similar to that, you click it, it's going to pull up the actual brain charts, going over individual products, which it's a for sure must. Granted, all the products are slowly changing, but these brain charts, these links are still set to the right places. We still get content. So that's going to be another thing that's going to be inside that box for you. So they're already there, but just kind of make it a little bit cleaner interface to get product knowledge. Actually, this is the Mutual Omaha one, but just different reasons, like I said, plug in, be able to access the products, get an understanding, get a good foundation. A lot of this stuff, like I said, we do talk about these products on a weekly basis, but the main presence behind this stuff is you got to take ownership. I mean, this is your own business. So what I mean by that, it's you had to spend the time going in and learning the actual products you're able to sell. And in doing that, I promise you'll start finding products you actually like a lot, or a lot of companies you like working with, from ease of use to their back office support, underwriting. There's a lot of things, like I said, once you kind of dig into their training modules and getting a better understanding for them, you'll start finding your homes of the actual carriers you actually enjoy writing and companies you enjoy working with. But the reason I was on this thing anyway, let me get down at the very end. So the reason I was pulling this up, there is, let's see if I can move this out the way. There we go. So there's something called the Field Ready Checklist. So essentially, it's a questionnaire that's going to identify if, as a newer agent, you are ready to go into the actual field. With some of the things, like I said, you're going to mundanely cover just from conversation and just from going through the actual process. But there's certain things that are in place. For example, expectations. We always talk about those. Having clear-cut expectations, what to expect inside the field, having your goals done and talking with your manager about those, which, so we had about several, almost 10 different goal call settings calls for this past week, which was awesome. I have a couple more for this week. Also, role playing, how to door knock minimum 10 times prior to actually dialing. So going back and forth over that script. Knowing the 4 situational concepts. This is more so for the mortgage protection folks, understanding the different styles or brackets where people kind of fall into. And just knowing if you can go through the whole entire in-home presentation all the way down to quoting the actual products, using the quote tools or using Best Plan Pro. Are you comfortable with 2 objections from the in-home closing? And then manage to learn 2 to 3 carriers forwards as well as backwards on their key products. So, for example, if you're partial to American Amicable, do you know their Golden Solutions? Do you know their Home Protector? Do you know their Price Buster, Term Made Simple? Some of the day-to-day products we're going to be using. With Foresters, do you know Advantage Plus? Do you know Smart UL, Your Turn, Plan Right? Those are things you want to ask yourself. And as a newer agent, what products do you know? And the more you know, in terms of that core group of carriers, the more successful you're going to end up being. You're not going to get scatterbrained. You're not going to be trying to sell multiple things and confusing yourself. It's keeping it simple the first handful of months, and then progressing to a newer carrier makes the world of difference. Are you plugged into all the different various resources? So Innovative and Friends, our Facebook page, where there's a lot of content being dropped, along with the IFG University page, which we'll look at today. Do you have your 4 to 6 week financial action plan in place to get onto actual elite program? So what that means is, what's your 4 to 6 week plan? Whether you're working B leads, age leads, free leads, whatever the case if it actually is, do you have a plan to get off of that platform onto a paid lead program, where you're getting leads on a weekly basis? And last but not least, are you ready to help families have a positive impact on their financial well-being? Are you ready to go help serve families and do the right thing by them by getting them covered? So, like I said, this is inside the playbook. So some of those that you already have that copy, that's already there. But I'm gonna make a special Dropbox folder, just a lot of these different inserts, just to kind of make it a clear-cut path, be able to find it, make it a little bit easier, and be able to plug into it as well. Number two, probably about number three now. So that's kind of the front end stuff. Next one, I see a lot of, it's you want to create your own insurance email address. So what I mean by that, if you still have your high school emails, or make sure I still have one from when I'm 12. That's where all my spam goes. But I mean, that's where have a professional email address is going to be key. Just somewhere where clients can reach out to you. Doesn't say anything weird. What I recommend always putting is your first name, last initial, .insurance. And you can use a Gmail account, Yahoo, Hotmail. It doesn't really matter which account you use. I do like the Gmail suite of products just because it's a little bit easier to use. It merges with everything. So I do like using a Gmail account, and they are free accounts to make. So spend the 5 minutes, create a new email address strictly for your insurance business. It's a good email address to give the insurance carriers as well. So all your stuff is going to one place and keeping it separate from outside the whole insurance world. But it's a little thing along those lines, because that's going to be necessary in going to the next step, creating your own business cards or using the I'm Your policy. So the first one, the I'm Your policy. If you don't have cash flow for business cards, what I recommend doing is using the I'm Your policy. This is already under the field printables tab inside of the actual Dropbox. So mine's there as well, so you can get a sample for how it actually looks inside of a PDF. There's also a Word version of this file. So the best thing you want to do, you should be able to download that actual file. And from there, once you download it, you can edit it on Word and change all this top information here. You can put field representative, field agent, whatever you want to call yourself inside the actual field, with a direct cell phone number for you, as well as a good email address. So here's an example of my insurance email. Like I said, it's marcusp.insurance@gmail. It's not the one I use on my day-to-day business. It's just strictly for insurance clients. So I send out illustrations, send out quotes, anytime I correspond with clients, copies of the applications when they send them in, or we submit them via e-app, I give them a copy of it. It's all coming from this email address here. So when they get the approvals, I forward all the approvals to this email that I send out to the actual client to let them know they've been fully approved. So having an insurance email will be huge, just to make it a little bit cleaner, and more of a professional approach on the business side of it for you. Make sure these aren't, okay, sorry, some background noise. So that'd be number one. To do, so if you don't have money for business cards, what I end up doing is I end up getting these printed. I buy some 65-pound cardstock paper from Staples. It's like $12 or $15 for a package, like 250 of these, and then I just print them out. I usually print out 10 every single week, and then once I get down to like 2, I'll print out the next 10 and so forth, just to have them. Aside from that, so if you like this concept, like I said, I like it because it has carriers, the logos on there. I am going to probably update this one slightly. I have a Medicare one as well, with the Humana, Aetna, and so forth, those carrier logos, just to be able to have it. Hold on one second. All right, there we go. No more background noise. Sorry, I had to mute a couple people. Yeah, questions, don't feel free to unmute your phone, but so probably will adding a Medicare road to this thing, probably updating this, taking off a couple of these carriers we no longer use. So they're good to have just because some people recognize the logo still, or they have a policy with that particular company. But I'm going to update that. But aside from that, like I said, I also use business cards. So right now, this link, it was just updated. So if you try to click it now, it's not going to go to the right place. I got to actually change this link. Just got off the phone with Vistaprint a little bit earlier. But this is the business card template. You can use it. You can make your own. It doesn't matter. I just want to make it easier to me because Vistaprint, you can order about 50 of these or 500 of these for about 10 or 12 bucks. I mean, they're super, super cheap just to have something in place. Let's say if you're brand new, you might skip this step and just go straight towards the I'm Your Policy, which is totally fine. So it has your contact information. And I'm Your Policy, I only leave that with buying clients. So I don't leave that with people that didn't buy. That easy instruction for buying. If they didn't buy, I might pop them a card. But like I said, you'll be able to edit your information, your name, title, email address, phone number, and so forth. As well as you can put your own Facebook page down. You're able to do that. If you use my logo, totally fine. Secondary, these are the appointment reminder cards. So this link actually does work. If you click on this link, what it does is going to take you to the order page to where you can order these appointment reminder cards. And this is what I use for doing door knocks. So when I do a door knock, I'm typically not leaving a business card behind because what ends up happening, more times than none, they'll end up calling you and telling you to reschedule again or so forth. So I just don't leave any type of contact phone number behind. I just leave what day I'm coming, what date, what time, in my actual name. So it's a generic card. It has our home logo on it without the actual company name. Just to kind of, it's a reminder card. It's just something for them to know who you are, or put it onto their fridge, or put it inside their wallet. They remember you actually coming out there. It's been working very, very well. Aside from that, get into the whole door knocking thing, right? So what do you leave behind for door knocks? Same thing would happen. You have a couple different options. So the easiest, most cost-effective way, it'll be looking at the delivery notice multi-print sheet, where basically it takes this little template and you go to Staples, you buy some colorful paper, or you take it to the print shop, get some cardstock paper, usually fluorescent pink, lime green, yellow. It's usually the main three colors you end up seeing. And you basically just get these printed out, and you just cut them there inside the store. And you want to have at least 25 to 30 of these guys, depending on how many leads you actually have. And it'll cost you. It's usually 20. Or for black and white, it's about 12 cents a sheet of paper. So I mean, you can for a single dollar, you end up getting close to probably 30, if not more of these things, sheet wise. So you're looking at probably at least 8, maybe 7 sheets. So 7 times, I guess 42 at least. I mean, enough to get you started for about $1 plus tax. If it's like I said, it's usually about 10 to 12 cents per black and white sheet. So that's the most cost effective way. It's the newest way, like I said, which I got a chance to actually use them recently. It would be the new door hanger. So this thing, so far I've used one, and gentleman called back. He told me when to come back out. It was either today or yesterday between 10 and 1, or today between 10 and 1. So I already went out there yesterday, talked to him again. He was home, and just due to what's going on with this family, we got to reschedule something a little bit later inside the week for him. But it worked out well. I said I'm one for one, small sample size, but definitely works. Now the only caveat behind these guys, there isn't an official way to share this with you on Vistaprint. It just they don't have a shareable option on this particular item, unfortunately. So there's a couple different things. So one, if you're a manager, easiest way to do it is probably buying out 500 or 1,000, and either me giving you access to my Vistaprint account, which is my basic login and so forth. You can order them with your shipping info, or just tell me, say, hey, I want to order some of these, and we figure out how much you want to order, how much they cost. I'll order it and just Venmo them cash, and we'll get it sent out to you that way. It just makes it easier. So either login or just sharing my login, or just reach out to me on the direct end, just be able to order these. Like I said, I spent it's like $88 for about 1,000 of them. So I mean, it's not terrible. There's a couple promos going on to get 25% off. So I would definitely just order the biggest batch and just have them, because I'll probably go through now with door hangers versus doing the stickies. I'll probably go through a lot more of these than the previously. So personal goal is to knock 5 to 8 houses every single week. So you multiply that out by, I probably should go through at least 400 of these things. So looking forward to it. It's going to be good. So that'll be another thing for brand new agents. So basically, all your information is ready. So you're either going to have a good email address for the actual client to put on their business card, or the I'm your policy. Well, like I said, delivery notice sheets in some way, shape, or form, whether it be these older ones, along with the new door hanger option, as well as I would definitely say appointment reminder cards. You might not need this one quite yet if you're brand new, but I do find them helpful. And actually, they're business card prices as well, so you can get those for super cheap. Also, I mean, all of a sudden, if you did marketing on it, you're looking at maybe $30 to $50 to get kind of your marketing set up to be able to talk to people when you're doing door knocks and so forth. And going from there, let's talk about carriers. So we kind of touched on it before throughout these guys. But you want to, like I said, you want to master 2 to 4 carriers. So depending on what your primary focus is, whether it be mortgage protection, whether it be FE, Medicare, you want to find your niche and maximize a handful of carriers, and those are the ones you want to run with. Whether it be on the FE side, like I said, probably looking at my lineup, I'm looking at a company that's going to be able to take neuropathy, going to be able to take COPD, pretty good with heart stuff, as well as some miscellaneous one-off things. But so I mean, I'm looking at AMAM, the kind of my catch-all, easy use, 3-year questions, but they pay the same for level, graded, as well as modified. Diabetic neuropathy, you're looking at Rural Neighbors. Prosperity takes that as well. COPD, like I mentioned, Forrester's Plan Right, probably my new addition to that if I come across some COPD cases. And you have your GI product. So I mean, you're looking at either UHL, looking at AIG, Gerber, Great Western, figure out which one of those you actually like. Most people are going to be using the AIG option. Seems to be the most competitive price-wise across the board, as well as that 50% advance goes a long way on GI business to help keep turning and burning your lead investment into more opportunities. Go see some more folks. So that's kind of like a nutshell. I mean, you also have your Liberty Bankers. You have there's too many carriers to name almost. Mutual Omaha, Oxford. I mean, Oxford's another one probably for me, just from a pricing standpoint. Real good price buster, liberal, 2-year questions, as long as they're usually decently healthy. Oxford ends up taking them. So it's a good replacement for Moo, which has got a lot more strict underwriting wise. And then aside from that, you want to gather the necessary product info. So as a newer agent, once you identify what carriers you want to work with, or even you got contracted for several, out of those several, which are the main 2 or 3, you want to get all the product information you can on those carriers. So what that means, plugging into the Dropbox, where it's going to have almost all the updated brochures, underwriting guides, anything along those lines you actually need. I only ask that you download your own applications, just because I can't download over 100 applications with several state variants. It's too much time, and they change the apps so frequently. I always tell a new agent download their own application, so it's the most up-to-date current option. That way we're not dealing with hey, I got the old application, you got to go back out and go get it re-signed and do the whole thing twice over. It's easier to go download your new applications, personally, just to avoid that issue. So if you're a manager, making sure that your downline has those applications, has access to to the Dropbox. If they don't reach out, we can add them to it. Knowing where to find certain things at, doing a three-way phone call with them to order folders and the brochures for the right product. Most carriers are really good about sending out a intro kit where they'll send them several applications with a brochure with it, phone numbers to the home office for underwriting, the marketing department, and so forth. So, I mean, AMAM is probably by far the best one out of all those, because you actually get folders with it as well. But still, making that 5-minute, 10-minute phone call to each carrier, one to introduce yourself, but also that allows you to get some orders done over the phone. You don't always have to log into the back office. You can tell them what you're looking for, and they usually can generate those forms pretty easily for you. As well as when you're on that phone as a brand new agent, it's a great time to confirm your commission levels. A lot of times you get a ton of phone calls, people asking me, despite having the actual sheet where it kind of breaks down majority of the actual products, at least the main products. But getting a commission statement or commission schedule from each of those carriers you're appointed with, just to verify the levels are in there correctly. Most times when we do the transmittal, it should be there right. There's a couple of times where it might be off slightly. We get that adjusted, but it's easier to catch it on the front end before you write a piece of business versus trying to go backwards and repay everything out. It just makes it a hassle. So spend an extra 5 minutes, get acquainted with the marketing team as well as their commissions team and contracting team. That way you can actually get a commission schedule sent out to you. Most carriers would actually do it. Some would give us a little bit more of a harder time, even on my end with it, but majority of them will at least directly on how to find it on their website or send you a copy via email just so you have one. Aside from the carriers that email it to you on the front end. So a lot of companies actually email it to you, like Mutual Omaha does. When you get fully appointed, they'll email you a commission schedule on the back office page. So doing that just it clears up any type of confusion. Make sure you got things right on the whole front end of it for you. So going off of that one, next one is that we're looking at know how to quote the products. So it's a mundane question, but what we are referring to is either a text message you get sent out by me with all these links, but it's actually already inside the Dropbox as well. So all these insurance carrier links, there's a form called carrier links, and it has where it's easier just to show it to you what it actually reads. Yeah, carrier link sheet. So it's a PDF. I think I added the Excel sheet in there as well. But it gives you the carrier. You put down your writing number, your username, as well as your password. In addition to have all the different quote links. So for example, I just noticed this one's wrong because AIG changed it to a Connect's website. So we'll update that. But most of them are going to have them the right place. So if you click this link, for example, for AMAM, it's going to take you to the right place where you can actually do their e-app, do the phone quote, and so forth. So having access to those, knowing how to get to them. Some of them do require logins or writing numbers in order to get access to them. But for the majority of them, they're just click and play. Even on, say, for example, Foresters, you click it and you're already home free, be able to quote the actual product. So knowing where that is, how to actually do it, believe it or not, that's a very common question. But understanding where those quote tools are. I did a video previously on how to set up your iPad or your electronic mobile device on how to save these links to your actual desktop. So I'm not going to spend time going over it again twice, but check out that actual video. It walks through the whole entire process of setting up your PDF expert or even your Notability. I don't use Notability, but similar steps. So it's all in one centralized place for you. Last thing you want to do inside of a client's house is fidget around trying to find the right application, the right carrier. It's hard enough to find the right product and the right pricing for the actual client. Just alleviate a ton of other stress by being organized from the very start. So I spent countless hours creating the actual Dropbox because they said that's how my laptop's already set up anyway. It's very anal to be organized and have everything in one centralized spot. It makes the whole process that much easier. So definitely plug in, get set up. you have questions on how to get set up for certain things or where you should have them, said one, reach out to your manager, reach out to me. We can talk about it and figure out the right plan for you. But that's going to lead also to the next point. So now that you have your paper apps, you have your brochures, your folders, any other inserts, you want to what I call your leave behind forms. Some companies do require a paper application to get appointed. For example, CFG is one of those carriers. Phoenix is one of those carriers. They only take paper apps first, and then they allow you to have access to e-apps. So once you have the paper app, now you got to figure out where those e-apps are. So luckily on that carrier's a link sheet, it's going to also break down how to access the e-application and whether it's inside the basic app or if it's inside a separate link you have to go to for those carrier sites. So there's a couple of things in there we got to adjust because they've changed a couple of places where things are actually at, but majority of it is still going to hold true for the main carriers where things are, which is good. Segueing from that piece of it, our next thing is going to be the IFG University page, which, let me go. So now IFG University is located on Lightspeed, which your username is going to be your NPN number. So if you don't have an account, you'll click this button right here. Then it'll take you to our Team IFG page, which this one comes up. It said if you're not currently licensed or through contracting, you might have to go through the step to get acquainted. But otherwise, you should already be there. You should have, once you got contracted, you should get a link with this login in information, which is going to be your NPN, and the password is going to be innovative in lowercase letters, and then you'll be prompted to change your password therefore after. But this page is awesome. It's an awesome site. From kind of open up some of this stuff so you guys can kind of see how it looks. So I was doing some file expense training. So there's several different modules from, they're adding more stuff to it as we actually speak, but still just from leads, workplace training, before the appointments, referrals in warm market, goal setting, agency management. There's 11 videos in there, how to manage the agency. Mortgage protection videos, which those are all from Pete until we add some more inside of that. Your FE training. So it's just tons and tons of content to be able to plug into, and it's like I said, it is awesome. There's things like that I've learned a handful of things from it that I didn't previously know. I'm still working on some of these because of their glitch with the whole typing the answer in, so I haven't finished those out just yet. But still, it's a awesome resource. So you can see your sign-ins. It shows you your activity. From a manager standpoint, if you establish a downline team, you actually can assign topics to them. So once they add that plugin and make it live, you'll be able to add. So you have your whole distribution there. You can add certain trainings that are brand new to be completed and get taken care of. So it's a really cool integrated software. So that's something, like I said, kind of going through all that prelim stuff. Most of that's going to be during that 2-week contracting process. So start to finish, we've already sent in the actual transmittal, which for those, I'll talk about that for one real quick second. If you haven't seen what transmittal page is, so whenever you get the welcome email from me, it's going to have several steps, usually about 3 of them, as well as indicating what carriers to send in contracts for, along with their level and so forth. It has access to the SuranceBay account, which is amplifycontracting.teamifg.com. But then this is the actual transmittal page. So this is what it looks like on the manager's end, what we have to fill out. Whether we doing a new agent, existing agent, changing levels. This is what we fill out to send it over to our contracting team for processing. So in order to get to this step, they have to submit the request carriers page, which is step number 3 inside their welcome email link. That's gonna, if you put get them to put your email address inside of it, it's gonna trigger your email directly to you stating that they've completed their contracting. And our next step is to basically, this transmittal notifies contracting, so Taryn, Kelsey, and so forth, and Kelly, that, hey, here's a brand new agent that we need to send their contracts to the actual carriers with. And here's the corresponding levels that go with that carrier. So it's all right here. I said it's not very difficult. Also notes a couple different questions if they need some releases done. We're able to put those in so they know what carriers are going to need those prior to sending in the actual contract. So it's a very clean, easy process. Which, like I said, we can talk more about that on a one-to-one basis if you're that actually building. But that's this is all stuff. Basically these previous 10 items. That's all happens within that 2-week period. So while we're waiting for carriers to come on back, which more times than none, your Mutual Omaha, your Foresters, and your Amicable are going to be the first 3 to usually pop back in for us. The rest of them, they too take a little bit of time. It's subject to how many contracts are being processed by that carrier, any background issues that pop up and need explanations on. There's numerous different reasons, but from an expectation standpoint, contracting usually takes anywhere between 7 to 21 days. You'll get a couple stragglers on the early end of that, but for all of them to really be processed, it's usually about a 3-week period in most cases. That's if everything goes smoothly. In certain times of the actual year, they'll be a little bit quicker, but said 1 to 3 weeks it's a fair timestamp and expectation, and this allows us to get all this other stuff done previously to going out to the actual first appointment. So after that, so we're going out the IFG, the university. You also want to start looking at the in-home presentation. So whether that be with your upline manager, role playing those like we talked about in the field ready checklist, or using some of the presentations from the actual university page. So getting acquainted with that, how that actually looks. And by role playing, we're talking role playing with your spouse, another family member, not trying to actually sell them something, but just kind of going through the actual steps, the whole presentation, the actual pitch, start to finish, and getting confident with it. In addition to writing along, if at all possible, with your upline manager, listen to them, make some phone calls, just the little things, just be able to get a little bit of details from them, kind of see how things are done. But ultimately, you want to make this your actual own. You want to get acquainted to your personality, what things work for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I wish it was, but it's unfortunately not. So so as what I do is, like I said, I have a pretty set presentation I've been doing. So going on me, I've tweaked it a couple of years ago, but pretty much the last 2 to 3 years, it's been the same presentation, where it's mundane for me to give it, just because I've done it so many times. But it's easy for me to turn on a smile inside the client's house and just go through the presentation with some actual excitement into it. So that's the point you want to be at, to where you have a presentation nailed down so much where you can say the whole entire thing without even thinking about it. It's come secondhand to you. But so getting around your manager, listen to them, like I said, make a series of phone calls, go see a house, if not 2, or run for a full day with them. It's extremely helpful, but there's no better training than, okay, you have the foundation, you have the grassroots network behind it. Okay, I'm going to make this my own presentation. I'm going to go out and do this on my own, because unfortunately there's only so many objections you end up getting when you're with someone, and just the nerves alone. You want to do it on a one-to-one basis. It's just, you're going to make the mistakes, and it's easier to make those mistakes early on. It's what we call failing forward. It's a John Maxwell concept. It's basically going out there and messing up as fast as possible so we can make the actual adjustments to it. That's the easiest and the fastest way to actually learn, is to go out there and go mess it up. A lot of agents, they're scared to go mess it up, but typically if you're working some B leads, you're working free leads, there's no better time, whether it be on a phone call, the in-person appointments. Messing it up is actually going to be a good thing for you, because we can make the adjustments and tweaks. That's the easy way to actually learn. I mean, you can sit behind your PC and watch the training videos and read the playbook. That's only going to do so much, but it's the actual activity and action behind it that's going to make the actual difference for what you're actually doing. So it's okay. Those are what I call the most expensive leads, just because they're the most valuable. The ones that are free, those early on appointments, will definitely set the tone. The first 20 appointments, one, you're gonna have some success doing it, so it's gonna get you hooked to the actual business. But two, you're gonna end up getting your teeth kicked in a handful of times as well, which I think is extremely valuable to building up that tough alligator skin going forward to actually have a long career inside the actual business. A lot of people that have too much success on the actual front end of it end up fizzling out because they're going to have a bad week or two. They're going to, I mean, I've strung together over 11 appointments. I mean, can you fathom that, going 0 for 11 over a whole entire week? Look at I did everything perfect from the phone, scheduling the actual appointments, but then on time to sitting with the clients, 0 for 11, to where that whole Saturday dial session I went nothing. I had to go back to the phones that Friday night and book up more Saturday and Sunday, and end up salvaging the week with about $3,000 worth of premium off of almost 17 appointments. So I mean, there's going to be those tougher weeks, but I think having a balanced start to the actual business, it allows for some more longevity in the actual business, because you're going to get the early wins, but also you're going to get the early failures as well, and that's the only way we actually learn is from failing. So that's kind of the in-home piece. And then last but not least, which a lot of people will try to talk about this one first, but it doesn't matter until everything else is done, is leads. What are the lead options? So getting with your manager, getting with me, talking about the various lead platforms that are open to us, whether it be final expense, mortgage protection, Medicare. They're newly going to be doing some type of telesale leads. So I mean, there's a lot of different platforms that we have available to us, and just plugging into the right one that fits you, fits what you're trying to do, fits where you are in the actual business. A lot of people try to put leads as the very first thing, and unfortunately, leads don't matter unless everything else is done. Because what's going to happen when you actually book 3 or 4 appointments and you don't have your carrier information sheet, you don't have any applications, you don't have your in-home process figured out. I mean, leads matter, appointments matter, but you want to get the foundation laid right first. It's like building a home on a sand, right? You can put as much stuff as you want down there, but if that foundation isn't set from the very start, and a storm comes, the house is it's going to end up crumbling, right? So the strong foundation to start is going to allow for a better base to build off of and to move forward. And that's why I look at leads as being kind of the last thing. Because all these other things, they can be done within the first, honestly, 48 to 72 hours. Getting your business cards ordered, getting things printed, in-home process sheets. I mean, all that stuff can be done on the front end. Then we get leads ordered, and then now we're still within that 2-week period to 3-week period of time before contracts start coming back. So whether, depending on the type of leads we're looking at, if it's Facebook or some type of telemarketing leads, that turnaround time, Facebook's 2 to 3 days, telemarketing is 4 to 7 days. You can do that on the closer end, but if any type of direct mail leads, that's a 2 to 3 week process, as is start getting leads back anyway, sometimes even a 4-week process. Getting B leads, we can order those whenever we feel like it, and they're usually inbox to you within 24 to 48 hours. So knowing the different options, but knowing where to start, it's all dependent on your actual budget, your current situation, and we kind of piece together the right plan for you. So it's not a one size fits all. We all do the same thing to start. Now, most people will do, but it all comes down to what do you have more of? Do you have more time, or do you have more money? Which you've heard me talk about that numerous times. That's kind of the categories you want to break down, or the evaluation you want to give yourself to identify where should you start working at. If you have more time, that means you typically don't have as much money. So those older B leads that take a lot more phone calls make the most sense. If you have a lot more money, which typically means you don't have as much time, meaning you might be working another full-time or part-time job somewhere else, and you're doing this kind of on the side. Well, it might be more advantageous to reinvest some of that money to kickstart yourself from your previous income into some fresher leads to get a quicker response time, a quicker turnaround, and get you out there moving a little bit quicker. So each case is different. That's what I said, talk with your manager, talk with me. We'll kind of hash it out and see which one you kind of fall into, or create the marketing plan for you. But like I said, just want to take, like I said, a little bit of time today. Brand new year, kind of getting things a lot more organized and on a clear cut page for especially all the newer agents we have coming on board. Any questions, comments, concerns? If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to go ahead and do that. Or if you want to raise your hand on the app, I should be able to unmute you or type into the chat. Got nothing. Okay. Well, like I said, got a couple stops to do today. We should be able to get this video uploaded along with last week's video as well. Just playing a lot of catch up. But be on the lookout, like I said, for some newer folders inside the actual Dropbox, just to make this a little bit more clear, as well as a clear-cut picture of how this actually breaks down. Might actually revamp the checklist as well from a manager standpoint and kind of things that are necessary to get done. But I think it'll be very beneficial, helpful, especially as you guys are growing and plugging in your agents to kind of have something to kind of give them to run off of. But if there's no other questions, like I said, you guys have an awesome week. If you guys need me, reach out. If you have not set up a goal setting call and you still would like to do it, this will be the last week I'm actually going to have time to do it before I start ramping things up on my personal end as well. So reach out, we'll hash out the time, get that figured out so we can get that on the calendar and spend 15, 30 minutes going over your goals. And in order to get that call done, I ask you to have your goals done prior to. So keep that in mind. So if you still want to do it, reach out to me, and then I will set up a date when you have those goals completed on your end so we can have a more productive phone call. Same thing will go for people with electronic trackers. If you want a copy of those, once again, reach out, send me a text, put it in GroupMe. If I don't know you guys need something, I can't help you with it. So let me know what's going on and we'll get it all taken care of. But until then, have a great week. Finally getting back into the swing of things. Week number 2 for us. So enjoy it. If you guys need anything, give me a holler.